it's a pleasure to speak with you, especially at the start of the new year. Before I ask anything else, how were the holidays for you, my friend? And I know too that you had a charity event that happened towards the end of December that was just like you, giving back to the community and giving back to the music industry.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the great thing is that we raised the money. We hit the goal for the kids, so that's awesome. So another 10 kids are gonna go on another one of the 30 elephants trips. This year we are going to the Philippines, and it's incredible because so we're gonna take 10 kids from quote unquote underserved communities, and we're gonna go over to the Philippines, and they're gonna have a real focus on the environment and different ecological studies and a bunch of things. So it's incredible. We raised the money. It was awesome. And it's funny. We had about 1,000 people due to come out that night, but it was that trash night where the media was like, "Oh, the storm of a century." So we had
Mhm.
a few hundred people that came out physically, but that's all. That's all good. Like we reached our goal, so it was awesome. Very proud of
Congratulations. I was
you. Yes.
actually hosting an event that same night, so I know what you were talking about. But you
Yeah.
you got to give it up to the Canadians who go, bad weather, I'm still
That's
coming
right.
out. That's a
That's
Canadian
right.
thing.
Of course. I mean, listen, if we were to just like not go to anything because of bad weather, like we'd only do stuff from like June to September.
Exactly. It's funny. Before we started this interview, I was thinking about you,
Mm,
and I can only wonder when I think about what goes on in your head or what happens to you every day, because I was trying to just go through it myself and all the interviews that we've done and all the
mhm.
things that you've done, being in the music industry, helping to elevate not just hip hop or rap, but we're just talking, I'll use the term black music in Canada.
Yep.
I'll use
Yep.
that term.
Mhm.
Um, the fact of crossing over into the US and around the world with your sound and your signature, um, elevating other artists, Juno Award winner, so many different awards, creating your own liquor and, brand and being in so many different things and being a record exec. And I can just keep going on and on
I
and
was gonna say, you
on.
know what? I don't think we've spoken even since I started my TV gig either.
And I was going to get into that too. I was going to jump into that because no, because I've been talking to other people on the show
Okay.
too, and of course,
Oh,
host,
nice.
not host, but judge for Canada's Got Talent. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about young you, did you always have those um, ambitions of always wanting to do more than say what was around you?
No, because to be honest, when I was young, I didn't think that any of this was possible. There weren't, I don't know, there weren't that many people that looked like me that were on television. Like there was Michael Williams, there was Master T, there was Michael Williams, there was Master T.
And I
Like,
was doing radio, so my face wasn't out there.
man, I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, what? We had Soul in the City, then we had Rap City, then we had Extend the Mix.
Mhm.
And,
And if I can interrupt, and don't forget the overnights, because that's where a lot of times those videos would be placed at night. And the reason why I know that is because waking up early in the morning, like 2, 3 in the morning, that's why I would see a major of them.
well, that's what I meant. Well, what I meant was like those were the only black faces that we saw in terms of the
Right.
hosts,
Yes.
and then, shout out to Monica Diol. But yeah, it was few and far between. So it's not, I didn't really have any aspirations to do any of the things that I'm doing now because it's kind of just like, I don't think I was at that time, especially being the son of immigrants. I don't know if it's something that we could even dream up. Like I don't think I knew how to dream big enough when I was a kid. So, for us, like my dream job at the time was being a teacher. You know what I mean? When I was a kid. So no, I think as I got older and as I realized that um we shouldn't put limits on ourselves. We shouldn't, put the ceilings on our dreams. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, Canadians, we do have that glass ceiling. You know what I mean? That or that the glass, the imaginary lid that's on the jar that we all live in. And I think that what's happening is that every year of my life, just the ceiling gets higher, and then I think at this point in time I realize that there isn't a ceiling. But I think unfortunately for Canadians, like, we have this very limited scope in terms of like what we believe is possible. But that's what I love about everything that I continue to do, is that it will show people that there is a possibility, and anything that they can dream up, absolutely, as cliche as it sounds, anything that they can dream up, they absolutely can make happen.
What is it like when you see now, when you see your soul sisters, Deborah Cox,
Mm,
Hall of Fame,
yeah,
Canadian Music Hall of Fame, and of course Canada's Walk of Fame, and
right.
seeing so many great black artists being able to be celebrated in that way. What does that say for you these days? Are things changing up? I mean, are we finally being represented or celebrated the way we should? That's the word I should say, because I can remember years ago, and again, this is not a knock to the Junos, but I can remember when they would do stuff like a salute to R&B or salute to hip hop, and you had the artist come out for like 2 minutes, or not even 2 minutes, for like 30 seconds, sing something and come off. And I remember Deborah Cox being one of those artists. And I kept thinking to myself, what is going on? Now it seems like things have changed up. Like, for example, was it Vancouver at the Junos when there was the big celebration that was happening where also the bare naked ladies were being honored? Um, the bare naked ladies were being in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
And I do believe there was a salute to hip hop music, because I remember I was interviewing you and a whole bunch of other artists on the
Oh
red
no, it was
carpet.
the 20th anniversary of Northern Touch.
That's right. That's it. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
And I felt like that one was the beginning of this change around, and this, wait a minute, we really have to celebrate our black
Rudy,
artists. And I thought that was the
would
beginning.
would you believe it if I told you that the only reason that we ended up doing a makeshift performance is because they had to stall for time?
Oh, don't break my heart. Don't break my heart.
We were literally just meant to go up there, present, and get off, but something happened and they needed us to stall for time, so we ended up just doing a impromptu performance.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, it
That
hurt
hurt.
us too. It hurt us too. Um, no, honestly, bro, I think it's bittersweet. It's
Mm,
bittersweet because I love the fact that we are being celebrated now, but the bitter part comes where it's like, well, why did it take so long?
yeah.
It's. I remember when I became SVP of at Universal, and I remember that you know the people in the states are like, yeah, that's awesome, but what do you mean you're the first black man to be a SVP at a major label? Like, they've been doing that for decades. And you know what I mean? Like, for us, it like the first time just happened the other day. So that's why it's bittersweet. You know what I mean? It's amazing to be able to break those barriers down, but it's like, yo, like, it's the 2020s. Like, it's not like it's the 1990s. Like, why are we still having these weird firsts,
Yeah.
at a time when it's like, yo, we have electric cars and all this futuristic stuff. And in Canada, excuse me, Canada, we're still doing things that people did like back in the 80s and the 90s.
Mm.
So it's bittersweet.
The other person I have to make sure I mention, Julie Black, and what a story that she has
Yeah.
created, and where she has started and where she has become, because she's become a true leader and a true inspiration for so many people. For folks who don't
including
know,
myself.
including yourself, yeah, what was it like for the two of you back then, hustling and getting out there? And people don't know how you guys would run around and, have to put posters on walls because, of course, we didn't have the internet, to
That's
be
right.
out there and trying to get people out to your shows. And then now seeing, the respect taking all these years for
Mhm.
folks like yourself, and especially with her too.
Well, I know Julie since she was 16, and you know, it's crazy that I know her for way more than half of her life at this point. She was a girl from Jane and Finch, and when we first met, like super rough around the edges, but beautiful inside.
Yeah.
And she had a gift. And even at 16, we were like, oh, this girl is she's incredible. And the thing is that like our during our era, um, let me not say that. Let me rephrase it, use different language, because that would imply that it's not our era now. When we first started, when we were younger, um, we just wanted to be heard locally. And then after we conquered that, we just wanted to be heard domestically. And then after we conquered that, we'd wanted to be heard in North America, so on and so on. So I mean, like, we come, me and Julie, we come from a time where it's like there's five of us sleeping in one hotel room because we can't afford more than one hotel room, or even times where we had to sleep in the van because we couldn't afford a hotel room in between. I'm making it up, but Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. You know what I mean? So times where we had to sleep in the van, or where we stole pillows from a hotel room so that we could just use the pillows in the van to sleep. So I mean, there's times where we almost didn't know if we were going to be able to make it back to Toronto because we didn't have enough gas money. You know what I mean? Like we would just go from show to show, and whatever we made from that show would get us to the next show. So I mean, we come from real hustling, to today where we own businesses, and we've diversified our careers, and now we are business owners, we are executives, we are artists, we are creatives, we are philanthropists and everything else, and devoted family members.
When did you figure out your worth?
Still figuring it out. It evolves.
Really?
It evolves. Yeah, you'd be surprised because unfortunately the entertainment industry is one of the worst. And I think that in order for them to create the most revenue, they have to keep uh, the artist in a particular mind frame. Because I don't think a lot of times the artists, like I'm talking about the entire artist community, I don't think that we actually were brought up to learn or brought up to understand just how valuable we were, and what our worth actually is. So yeah, it's definitely I don't know, it's something that I learn more and more every single day.
The show that happened last year
Yeah.
that Drake put together at History.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How eye opening was that for you to see folks like yourself who help pave the way for artists of today? And I don't care if you say Canada or the US or whatever. What was it like to see that group together? I mean, it made a lot of people were having a good time, whatever, but it also made people cry because there was so much emotion in
Mm-hmm.
knowing, like what you just explained, the hardships of what a lot of these folks had gone through, and to be able to come together and celebrate themselves and the past.
Yeah. It was I feel like it was the first of its kind.
Yes.
Um and we didn't really have a platform that highlighted the bridge between generations. That's not something that we do enough. It's not something that we do well enough. So for Drake to lend a part of his light, so that the younger generation could get a glimpse and understand, get a deeper understanding of like where the scene came from. I thought it was really great because it was not just celebrated in Toronto or in Canada, but I got personally messages from all around the world of people that's like, yo, that's so amazing just to see the different generations rocking together. And what I love is that you had pop, you had R&B, you had hip hop that were all represented that night. And what I loved is that you could just see that for the most part, Drake was able to be a fan that night. And
Yeah.
these are the things that shaped his youth and shaped a lot of people's younger lives. And, people got to kind of dip back for a second, and relive all their favorite songs. And we see it happen in the States all the time. We see it happen in the UK all the time. But for us to now do it, I loved it personally. I thought it was awesome, and there was such a camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like with everybody from Drake and the whole OVO crew, all the way up to you name it, to the Jellystones, the Maestros, the Sean Desmonds, the Julie Blacks. In essence, everybody under the sun. Like I thought it was a magical night that night.
I keep saying over and over again, why is not the Grey Cup looking at this and saying, why can't we have a halftime show with these artists? If they can do the Super Bowl that way last year, why can't we do that here in Canada? Because it's the perfect scenario, and I think it's the perfect stage to help elevate.
I mean, listen, that's a good question, but the easiest way to respond to that is that Canadian culture moves more like an ocean liner than it does a speedboat. So
True.
it moves, it just moves slowly. That's all.
Well, you're somebody who is helping to move this a little bit faster, sir, because one of the big reasons why we are having this interview, a big announcement came out. To me, it was groundbreaking. I was so thrilled. I actually cheered when I saw
I was gonna
this.
say, knowing you, I know that you were excited because this is something that me and you, we've had this energy and we've been in that space for years. Like whenever we talk about this stuff, even when we talk about the nostalgia of hip hop and all the rest of it, I know that you would really appreciate like what this means, not just for me, but like, what it means for the scene and what it means for the culture and all the rest of it.
Let's make this official, sir. What is your new title and what does it mean for the music industry?
Ha. Well, the new title is Global A&R for Def Jam. Thank you, boss. What does it mean? What I would like for it to mean is more opportunity for black people and people of color throughout the diaspora. That's what I would like for it to mean. I would like for Def Jam to become the hub for not just legendary hip hop, not just legendary R&B, but for for different types of music that we have throughout the world. Meaning, it could be a home for Afrobeat, it could be a home for dancehall, for soca, for Latin, and of course, obviously, the traditional hip hop, R&B, and pop.
So, what exactly are you going to be doing now this year? I know you've got so many things because, of course, Canada's Got Talent. I mean, right now, as we speak, certain points of it is being taped. It will be live also again. I have to assume there's
Yeah.
probably going to be another season, so that's keeping you busy. You have your own business ventures and shows and festivals. How does this fit
Mhm.
into your life?
Very easily, to be honest. Like the thing is that uh, it's almost a seamless transition because I travel anyway.
Yeah.
So the only difference is now Def Jam is split up between New York and LA. So it's really just, what I'm saying, like just going back and forth between New York and LA. But it's the same planes, same flights, same network. I think what's incredible is just that, you know, the resources, it's like the growth is exponential in terms of what I have access to. And what I love is it's a young, it's a young Black Nigerian CEO who's running the company. So I mean, being able to be somewhere where, you know, a lot of the people um look like you, think like you, act like you, it's so comfortable. It's a great place to be in. And I remember one of my mentors was like, yeah, this is what the industry was meant to feel like, and I think that's what's super cool about it, is that it's what it's like graduating from high school and then going to a HBCU, to where you're like, it's higher learning, it's higher education, but you're like, oh, but this is cool. Like, we have Black professors, and we have Black TAs, and we have, Black students, and we're actually learning about Afrocentric studies, as opposed to learning about everywhere else except for, Africa and places where Black people dwell. So, that's what I liken it to. That's a pretty decent parallel. But nah, man, it's really amazing. And I think, the team, like my coworkers, are incredible. So we're working with the cream of the crop and the top of the top.
It's funny, when you were saying this, I immediately started thinking of very, very young you, because with all the other stuff that we talked about, come on, we grew up on Def Jam. Okay. We grew up on that. And then,
Yep.
and we always knew that when we talked about hip hop back then, LA, New York, and then how you just comfortably said, working for Def Jam, traveling from New York, LA. What would young you ever think if we could have put a time machine in front of young you and said this was gonna happen?
Oh man, listen. I'd be doing backflips, and I'm not even acrobatic, so that would show you the type of energy. Like, I mean, it's really a dream job though, because it's like I spent years, not even countless nights, I spent years just dreaming about and thinking about Def Jam and the artists and so forth. And this had nothing to do with anything except, you know what I mean? Just in my mind saying, man, I wonder what it would have been like. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, for hip hop, I think Def Jam, that was the first time that I ever even thought about anything other than the artist side or the creative side. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're thinking about Russell Simmons and all of what he represented, you know what I'm saying? It's like these are people that like really, really introduced the business side to a lot of us in the community, because we weren't thinking about that. I mean, sure, listen, we knew about the Berry Gordys of the world, of course, but for hip hop, like, Def Jam and Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, like, that was a lot of our intros into, you mean you can be more than a rapper? You know what I mean?
It says a lot right there. And especially if we remember correctly, critics were saying, oh, this isn't gonna last. This is a fad.
Oh, of course.
This
Of
will go
course.
in and out. Then what is the secret to, I mean, people talk about you have to visualize, you have to read certain things, you have to do this and that. For you, for the success that you have had, how has it succeeded? I mean, Director X, when I talked to him, he says meditation helps him in focusing and moving forward. What has helped you over the years to move forward and break these boundaries?
Positive visualization, definitely meditation and prayer, for sure. I'm sorry, Rudy, could you hold on 1 second? My
Yeah, no
apologies. 1
problem.
second.
No problem. This is what happens when phone calls come in.
Sir?
Can't hear you, sir. There we go.
I was gonna say, when you ask how I do it, this is quite literally how I do it. Is multitasking. I haven't eaten anything for the day. Thank you very much, sir. All right. This is literally how I do it. So this is not an interruption into the interview. This is an actual glimpse into what
this.
Kardinal's life is like. So where I am, it's 4:30 p.m. today, So no matter when it comes out, it's 4:30 p.m. and this is my first meal that I'm having. So
Oh
that
my
is the way
goodness.
that I'm able to balance this entire life is literally like by any means necessary.
It is an amazing life. I'm not going to hold you too long because you need to eat if you haven't eaten all day as we're doing this interview.
It's all
But
good, my brother. Anything for you.
and thank you for that. As we wrap this up though, we are in a new year. There are people who have their New Year's resolutions. They're always hoping for a better year than they've had in the past. What
Hmm.
advice can you give people out there to hopefully whatever dreams that they have, whether it be in 2023 or in the future, what
Hmm.
advice do you have for them that hopefully whatever their plans are, that it comes true?
Uh, to be more brave, to be as brave as possible. I think a lot of us get stuck in a rut, and a lot of us are afraid to make that leap. And we end up in a career where we're doing the same job for 5, 10, 15 years. And we get stuck because we're afraid to make that leap because we don't know what's on the other side. Maybe where we are, it's safe. But with safety comes complacency and a whole bunch of other things that I don't think are positive attributes. I think being brave in 2023 now is the time because we have, no matter what your career choice is currently, there are opportunities out there. It's just, for me, faith is really big, and making that leap is how I was able to get to Def Jam. I didn't know what life outside of Canada would look like. But here I am, and it looks amazing, and I'm so happy that I was brave enough to make that leap and to, what I mean, like, not know, maybe not have my future, at least on the executive side, maybe not know what that would look like. But you know what? It got to a point where I was like, well, I think anything is going to look better than where I'm at right now because I needed to grow as a person. I needed to grow as a businessman, and I needed to grow as a mentor and a bunch of other things. And last year it started off what I thought was tough, but what I realized is it's just, there's no wins and losses. There's just wins and lessons. And I think even the adversity that I dealt with last year prepared me for where I am right now. And it's funny, I'm not really a numerology person, but I was watching a post that Director X had, and he gave the instructions on how to figure out what year you're in. And it's interesting because I think it's like a 5, and this is a year of rapid growth for me. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well.
I think every year is a rapid growth for you. That's what I see on my side. I have to say it is still always an honor and a pleasure to speak with you, to say that I can call you a friend, a brother,
Yes, sir.
someone who I have followed for many years and have just watched grow and grow. I know you don't like using this word, but you are a legend, along with all the other folks that I've spoken about too, with Julie and Deborah and
I appreciate it.
Maestro and so many others, because I've seen the growth, I've seen what you've done, and I've seen how all of you have impact the younger generation as they come about and make their impact. I say on behalf of all of them, thank you for what you've been doing. Congratulations on where you are today. Cannot wait to see you in the future. And I ask just one favor: when they make the movie about you, I want to play myself doing the interviews, talking to whoever is playing you in the movie. That's all I ask.
As my Muslim friends would say, inshallah, good sir. Absolutely. Inshallah, you have to play yourself.
Big love to you, my friend, and congratulations.
Listen, I appreciate it. And of course, when Dalton hit me, I said, listen, anything that Rudy wants at any time. I always am so thankful and have so much gratitude when it comes to the support that you're giving to me and a lot of my friends within this business, bro. So we love you, and I really thank you and appreciate it, man.
Big love back.
Yes, sir. All right, have a good one, man.